Hello, everyone. This is Tina from Tina's Workshop, and welcome to my imagination. Today, I want to do needle felted pumpkins. I've seen them before, and then I recently saw it on YouTube, EWE Tube. Chris and Therese, and they run the Gnome Schoolhouse, and they were making the needle felted pumpkins, and I was like, I've been wanting to do that, so I think I'm going to do that. So that's what I'm planning to do today. And I recently got a bunch of fall colors. So I could do this one, kind of had like a real gourd type look to it. And we've got the yellows and even we can even do a nice neutral colored one. Um, And then I am using for my inside fill, because I need to bulk up and I don't want to use a whole bunch of my good colors. So when I card my wool, uh, all the extra little scraps that come off that are just the small little bits that aren't really usable, I save them. So I have a big bag of this stuff, and that's what I'm going to use to create the inside and then pull the color around the outside. So I'm going to switch you to table cam and we'll get going. So this part probably takes the longest of all of it, and it's the probably the most boring part too, because it's just this big ball of stuff. But you've got to get everything all together, get your nice little inner shape, and I'm using just one needle here, but the green one in my hand, that's a multi-needle, but it's not as long as the single needle, and I find I don't really care for it as much, so I do most of this with just the single needle. Very long, very sharp needle does not feel good if you poke yourself with it, so don't do that. And yes, I did it a few times while I was doing this. Looks like a big fluffy brain in my hand right now. I mean, we're going for fall, not Halloween, right? So I shortened, obviously I've sped this up, but I also shortened it because this did take quite a while just to do the inner fluff. But at this point, I did start to shape it a little bit more and start getting the shape of the pumpkin. I'm doing the little lines in the side where the pumpkin kind of pulls in. Don't really know what you would call it. So it's a little hard to tell here, but it is starting to take shape. There we go. See the little lines. So after I had finished this, I worked on a couple more off camera that I will show you at the end. I, didn't want you to have to watch through all of that. But I think I made a nice little set. Just about ready to start adding some color onto this. I'm just fluffing it out a little bit so that it's easier to work with. So I just kind of put this on in the strips where I had made those other little marks along the side. So I kind of added to the shape that was already there. Now, if only it were this fast to do it in real life. I need to get myself one of the really nice wool mats for using underneath. I've got this piece of foam I'm using, and they wear out really quickly. Um, Bear Creek Felting, one of the ladies from the Gnome Schoolhouse I mentioned earlier, they carry some really nice ones in all different sizes. I'd eventually like to get a set of theirs. And they last for a really long time too. So now he's just a little bit plain. If I just leave him just a straight orange, which I could have done. I could leave him orange and just accentuate the different areas, but I can't leave that kind of stuff alone. I've got to do a little bit more. So I decided to use this darker color here and add that into the creases and create shadows. Of course, my camera keeps going out of focus. Sorry about that. I had it on autofocus instead of setting the focus to just stay in one spot. So then I went back, and of course, it's hard to tell because it's out of focus right now. But I did thinner layers um, back over it to create even more of a shadowing effect coming away from the little groove. Now I'm adding some highlights into the center of the raised area so that again creates more of that shadowing three-dimensional look. And there's enough fleece on this now in the direction that I was going that I could lay a whole bunch down where I wanted it and then go back and secure it. And if you're new to needle felting, these needles have little tiny barbs on them, one directional barbs. So when you poke into the wool, it's pulling the fibers in, but when you pull back out, it's smooth so those fibers stay in where you left them. And you're creating that felting effect just the same as if you were to stick your nice wool sweater in your washing machine and wash it and dry it and forget that you've done it and you've shrunk it, which is how the wet felting works. And the needle felting is doing the same thing except with the needles. So you get to control how you're wanting it felted and what parts are going to be a little bit denser. So like the creases are denser than the other parts. So he's starting to take shape now, looking more like a little pumpkin. Kind of like those little tiny mini pumpkins you get in the grocery stores. So now he needs a stem. So I decided to layer some of the green and the brown together, and then I wanted to twist it and create this kind of viney look to it. And then I went out of focus again, so I skipped through some of that, so you didn't have to watch all the out of focus. So now I'm just attaching the stem to the little pumpkin. And then I decided he needed a little curly cue. A little curl of vine coming off of it. So here, I didn't really know how I was going to do this, and I do mention this again at the end of the video, sorry. But I'm just trying to take one spot and attach it together so it'll hold. And then that area that I attached is what's going to actually be attached right to the pumpkin itself. And then it should hopefully keep its shape. So dimple in his bottom a little bit more. And I do go back, and I'm not sure if I show it on here, but I do go back and add an extra little bit of coloring where the original flower would have been growing on the end of the pumpkin, because the pumpkins come from where that flower is. And when the flower detaches, there's that little belly button kind of on its backside. So I do add a little bit into that later, and I will show you that at the end of the video. But I think he's come out pretty cute. Tying in some little loose ends there. He's a cute little pumpkin. Well, I was hoping to put all these in this little basket, but the little basket's a little too little. But here is the pumpkin that you watched me just make. And then I also made a little white pumpkin. So this one has the curly Q, this one has a little leaf. And I did a gourd. I think they all came out pretty good. So I've got this little, I don't know how I want to set it up really, somehow. But I think they came out pretty cute. So what do you guys think? Little pumpkin, two little pumpkins. And really like the way the gourd came out. As I worked on it, I wasn't too sure, but I put the little dimple in the bottom and little stem, and I tried to shape the stem because the gourd and pumpkin stems kind of have little ridges in them. So I tried to actually shape that a little bit. I tried to do that on these too. And I wasn't really sure how I was going to do this curly Q, but you saw it in the video where I put my finger and then just worked on the part that went down in to the pumpkin, so it kind of held it. So I think it actually came out pretty cute. So I tried to do little bottom marks on them where they would have been growing. So I don't know. I think they came out really cute. What do you guys think? I hope you enjoyed the video. And please click like and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified when I do more videos, make sure and click that notification bell. So, getting myself ready for fall. It's that time of year. Well, anyway, hope you enjoy doing this with me. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.